Hey everybody, today we are again continuing our series on how to make a song from start to finish. This is the fourth video, and today in this video we're going to focus on making ambience or atmosphere for our track. And I have some ideas already up my sleeve for what I'm going to do. And before we get into that, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to what we've got. And I'm going to offer you some of my thoughts on what we already have arranged. And you're going to be surprised by what I'm going to say. Maybe you won't be. Let's have a listen to it. Now, let's have a listen to it. Right, so I'm going to focus my attention on the leads for now. I think the first ARP and the second ARP are great. I think that this sound is going to work just fine. Maybe we change the melody or the rhythm, but I think the sound is okay. This sound, I think the sound is okay, but I think the melody is too simple and too basic, and it's going to need some more variation, obviously. And then this, wasn't too sure what I was thinking when I arranged that sequence there, but that's the beauty of taking a step back from your track and then being able to analyze it and look at it from a fresh perspective. When we sit down in one session and we're working for a very long time, sometimes we can lose perspective of what we're actually doing. And I feel like maybe by the time I sort of got to here, I was starting to lose perspective a little bit. So today what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do some atmosphere and some ambience. And I've got some cool little techniques that I used to do, well I still do, but I used to do a lot when I was new to producing music. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tab out of Ableton and I'm going to come over here to my web browser. And you can see that I have a couple of tabs open with various different videos open with different titles, obviously. What am I saying? So the Tui song we've got here is a little bird chirping, and that bird's from New Zealand, and I'm from New Zealand, and I really like New Zealand birds. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take these sounds out of these videos, and here I've got some water drops. Cool. So we've got dropping water. It's going to make us want to pee. And then we've got birds calling. It's going to make us feel like we could pee on a tree outside. So let's go ahead and download them. So we want a YouTube to MP3 website, right? And we'll come to online video converter. That one looks fine. Let's take the URL, copy, paste, format. I mean, the audio quality is probably only going to be MP3 at best. And yeah, look at that. I'm not going to disable my ad blocker. Sorry, guys. And so yeah, MP3 is probably fine. Maybe you would want to test it and see. Is that just going to let me do it, or am I going to have troubles with this website? It may not work for me, and I'll have to find a different website. Yeah, cool. So it's not going to work. That's all right. No worries. YouTube to MP3. You're just going to have to find the right one. This one might work. Some of them will want to take your email address or something like this. So not generally, I wouldn't recommend that. Sweet, that one's downloading. Cool. What if we go convert next and we grab that URL, we drop that in there, we go convert, download, boom. This one's very efficient. Great. Convert next, boom, convert, download. Okay, so show in folder. Let's have a look where we've got this. We got that there. We have Tui song and we have New Zealand Bellbird. Okay, so let's drag over to Ableton, put it over top of this audio clip. If we hold control, then it's going to drop in on 3 different channels. If we don't hold control, they're going to put those samples one after another. So what I want to do is I want to hold control, and that's going to let me drop them in, and it's going to drop each different sample on a different channel. So I've let go of the mouse, it's loading in, and we're going to need to let Ableton sort of work it out for a little while. Some of these clips, that's 20 minutes long, so you know, we should be patient. So I'm going to unwarp both of the clips. I don't want Ableton to actually adjust the warping in it at all. And I probably don't need all of these water drips, but I don't know whether maybe we're going to get different sounds. Let's just pull it short and say maybe we'll have 16 bars of that, and we'll just go Control J to consolidate that to make that one big long loop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click all these clips, I'm going to Control G to group them, and I'm going to call this channel Atmos, right? So this is going to be the atmosphere of the track. Right, let's have a listen to the bellbird. So to start off with, we can have that by itself, and then if I create a new audio channel, I'm going to take that down, and I'm going to find some chirps that I like. So that's just sort of random background chatter, right? So I can have that sort of fade in and fade out very quietly in the back of my track. So if we... is that? These 2 channels shouldn't be there. Delete them. Get the percussion. So you can just really gently hear those birds sort of chirping away in the back. Maybe repeating it so often would get a little bit boring, so maybe we would have it playing sort of every so often. Let's say every 8 bars we could have that play. So let's have a listen to this some more. Let's take that. And we can, if we grab the beginning of that clip, we hold Alt, then we can actually drag and drop wherever we want, and it doesn't clip to the timeline. So if I pull that back there, put a little fade on that, pull that forward, and then volume fade it out. Right, and what we're going to do, just to start building the idea of what we're getting at here, is if I chuck in another audio channel, I'm just going to, so what I'm doing is for each sort of different sample, I'm just kind of putting it on its own channel. I'll go bird 1, we'll go bird 2, bird is the word, and if we come over here to Ableton's inbuilt devices, and we grab a reverb and we chuck it on there. And we leave the dry wet pretty high, and we turn the decay up heaps, and we put that on high quality and bring the pre-delay down. Let's have a listen. Cool. So if I turn that reverb off, you notice really abruptly the audio sample starting and stopping. Right? So if we had that just in the back of the track, so it sort of disappears there. And you're like, what? But if I turn the reverb on, adds a huge dimension to that sound. Cool. So instantly reverb, wow. Okay. And that's very simple. It's standard reverb. Really nice. What else could I do? Ping pong delay. Dry wet down. Leave it otherwise standard. Let's have a listen to that. Lush. Cool. So that's the trick. Reverb and delay. What else? So if I just take straight up that reverb and delay and drop it on these water drops, have a listen, see what it does. Cool. So let's listen. Really, really lush. What we would want to do is maybe we would just make sure that these weren't completely out of time. We're not going to do that right now. We can do that later. And then finally, if we come back here, maybe we could find some other little nice... I like that one. So I'd chop that out. I'd create a new clip. And I'd put that on its own channel, bird 3, and I'd basically go through this and just slice out any little one shots that were kind of different from one another and use them, and then I'd arrange it where the sort of the actual attack of the sound, like where the bird chirps, the sort of like main chirp like that, is lined up on the grid, right? So that's like a lead in, but the main chirp is like cool. And I'd use the volume fades just to kind of get it so that it's a nice smooth sounding clip. It's not too stop-starty. And if I put the delay and reverb actually on the group and take it off the individual sounds, so if I delete it from here and delete it off of the droplets as well, then everything's going to have it on it, which is great because first of all, we'll glue it all together and put it in the same space. So let's have a listen to all of this together. All right, so let's get some Tui in here as well. Cool. Fantastic. It's just made for it, isn't it? And again, what I'd probably do with this one is get it lined up so that each of those little chirps are lined up on the grid. And let me actually, I should show you how to do that. So first we'll do it the water drops, okay? So we've got the we've got the clip, and I've clicked on it, and I can zoom in by putting my cursor over here and sort of moving out or moving in, right? So this is the first droplet. So I can put a little node in front of it, and I can drag it and put it at the beginning of that beat. So now when we get to the second beat, boom, it's in time. What I could do here is, okay, the closest beat would be 2.2, but I don't want to stretch this. So if I put a little node here, I'm not going to stretch that. Put a little node here, pull that back. Now I've got these guys sitting on the grid in time, right? So now it's lining up properly with the grid. And then again, so the reason I put this node here, because watch what I'd do. If I grab that and pull it, what it's going to do is it's going to stretch this guy. And I don't want to do that. So I put this little placeholder here so that that doesn't get affected. And there's no sound playing in here, so it doesn't matter. I pull that, get that stuff sitting on the grid, put another node here, put another node there, pull that, put a node here, double click, pull that forward, because Ableton automatically notices the transients. So that's why you've got this ability to basically very quickly just drop these points in. But anywhere you click on this gray line is going to let you do that. So if I grab that and pull it back, there's this little pre-hit. I don't know whether that'll matter too much. We'll just leave it. Drop that there, double click that, drop that there, double click that. Okay, and you know, we can keep going. Same thing here. So, okay, I can't do it. What do I need to do? I need to turn the warp on, right? And this one's a bit more confusing for Ableton because there's so many different sounds. So, yeah, that looks like the beginning of that sound. In fact, maybe that's the beginning of the sound. What I can do is this clip has some sort of sound before it, but maybe I want the clip to start when that sound starts. So if I right click that, I can say set the 1-1 point. And if I pull that volume fade, now the beginning of that clip is that first sound. And I'll get all of this lined up properly on the grid. So first of all, I'll put that there. Second of all, I'll double click there. Well, I should double click at the beginning of the clip like that. Pull it. Okay, so that second sound is heading in time. And then this sound, let's say it's kind of starting there. We could pull that one maybe right back there. And double click there, and we pull that. We'll get it sort of like that, so there's a bit of a sweep into that sound. Okay, so this is pretty much in time. Sweet. Let's play it with the droplets. Okay, so maybe the birds are loud, like too loud compared to the droplets. We could pull that down like 3 decibels or so, or we could even push that up to more like 0 decibels. But this droplet here is quite loud. We just want to make sure that we don't. Yeah. So let's listen to everything. So what I've done by essentially putting this in time is instead of it being maybe a natural sounding thing, I've kind of made it more, in a way, rigidly musical. And that can work really well, or it could completely ruin the sound. So, you know, play around with it. See what you like. Let's have a listen to it all together. So we've got some really nice lush ambience for our track, and we can keep using all of this because we got heaps of clips, right? So that is our ambience. Doesn't necessarily work so well at the moment with all of our sort of digital instruments, but this is the point. We go with our influences. I was feeling like some water drops and some birds, chuck them in there. As we keep fleshing the track out and moving forward, we are going to remove things that don't work. So this is not purely a tutorial where everything I make is essentially shitting gold. What I'm doing is I'm making sounds just as I go and how I'm feeling. I don't pre-prepare for these tracks at all, apart from just getting like... I had a little bit of a think about the sounds I wanted for the ambience because I needed to pre-prepare that. But for everything else, it's just been on the fly. So we're going to make stuff and then we're going to cut out what doesn't work. And we're going to keep what does work. And that's what making music is about. Nobody sits down and makes 50 different parts for their track and then say like, oh, yep, every single part is good enough to go in. Maybe if you're really on a roll in one track, maybe you'll have a really good session. But still, you're going to go through a process of elimination where you're going to take sounds out that don't work. So it's a little chaotic right now. It's not arranged. We're just still in the loop phase of building up all of the sounds that we're going to use. So I'll see you guys in video number 5, where we're going to go through even more sounds, get more stuff packed in here, and then soon we're going to get into arranging. So I hope you're enjoying the videos, and I'll see you guys very soon.